In 2011, two modern nations went to war over a pile of 900-year-old stones. Thai and Cambodian soldiers fired rockets and artillery at each other across a border marked by an ancient temple, leaving dozens dead and thousands displaced. This wasn't some medieval conflict, this was a 21st century war fought with modern weapons over ruins that predate both countries. The most bizarre part? The fighting continues today, and the stakes keep getting higher. Today we're exploring one of the world's strangest ongoing conflicts, the Cambodia-Thailand Temple Wars. This isn't just about old buildings, it's a story that involves colonial mapmakers, UNESCO politics, national pride, and millions of dollars in tourism revenue. By the end of this video, you'll understand how ancient history became modern conflict and why two neighboring countries can't stop fighting over stones that neither of them originally built. To understand this conflict, we need to go back nearly 1,000 years to the height of the Khmer Empire. Between the 9th and 15th centuries, the Khmer controlled most of mainland Southeast Asia from their capital at Angkor, in what is now Cambodia. They built thousands of temples across their empire, including the famous Angkor Wat and the temple at the center of today's dispute, Preah Vihear. Preah Vihear Temple was constructed in the early 12th century on a cliff in the Dangrek Mountains, strategically positioned on the watershed between the two river basins. The temple wasn't just religious, it was a statement of power, visible for miles across the plains below and serving as a frontier fortress of Khmer civilization. Here's where geography becomes crucial. The temple sits on an escarpment that forms a natural border, but medieval empires didn't think in terms of modern nation-states with precise boundaries. The Khmer built where they wanted, and Preah Vihear's location on the cliff made perfect sense militarily and religiously, regardless of where future borders might be drawn. As the Khmer Empire declined, various Thai kingdoms expanded eastward, while the Rump Khmer state contracted around the Mekong River region. But neither kingdom maintained strong control over the remote border areas where Preah Vihear sits. The temple became a forgotten ruin, occasionally visited by monks but largely abandoned to the jungle. The seeds of modern conflict were planted during the colonial period when the French arrived in Indochina. France colonized Cambodia in 1863 and began negotiations with independent Thailand, then called Siam, to establish precise borders, something that had never existed before in this region. In 1904 and 1907, French and Thai officials signed treaties establishing the border between Cambodia and Thailand. The 1904 treaty stated that the border would follow the watershed of the Dangrek Mountains, meaning water flowing north would be Thai territory, while water flowing south would be Cambodian. This seemed simple enough, but there was a problem. Preah Vihear Temple sits on the cliff where water flows south into Cambodia, but the easiest access is from the north through Thailand. The watershed principle would place the temple in Cambodia, but practical access considerations suggested Thai control might make more sense. In 1907, a French survey team drew detailed maps of the border region. Whether through error, political calculation, or simple expediency, these maps placed Preah Vihear Temple on the Cambodian side of the border but showed the boundary line deviating from the strict watershed to give the temple to Cambodia. The crucial detail: Thai officials received these maps and used them for decades without official protest. Under international law, this acceptance would later become significant evidence of Thai recognition of Cambodian sovereignty over the temple. However, the maps weren't widely distributed or carefully studied. Most local officials, both Thai and Cambodian, continued operating under informal arrangements that had existed for decades. Thai authorities often managed the temple area simply because they had better access, while Cambodian officials focused on more populated regions closer to the Mekong River. This ambiguous situation continued through World War II, the Japanese occupation, and the early independence period. Both countries had bigger problems than arguing over remote temple ruins, and the area remained largely unpopulated by civilians from either nation. The modern conflict began in the 1950s when Thailand occupied Preah Vihear Temple, rejecting the 1907 French maps. Cambodia responded by taking the case to the International Court of Justice in 1959. In 1962, the ICJ ruled in Cambodia's favor, citing Thailand's long acceptance of the maps as recognition of Cambodian sovereignty, and ordered Thailand to withdraw. The ruling set key precedents in international law but fueled lasting Thai resentment. For the next 4 decades, the dispute remained quiet as Cambodia faced civil war and Thailand dealt with internal politics. The temple area stayed remote, poorly maintained, and of little economic importance, with limited cooperation between the two countries. However, 2 developments in the 2000s would reignite the conflict with unprecedented intensity. First, Cambodia's economy began growing rapidly, making tourism development a national priority. Second, UNESCO designated Preah Vihear Temple as a World Heritage Site in 2008, dramatically raising its international profile and potential tourism value. The UNESCO designation proved particularly controversial because Cambodia applied unilaterally without consulting Thailand, despite the temple's location near the border and Thailand's claims to surrounding areas. Thai nationalists viewed this as Cambodia using international organizations to strengthen its legal position while excluding Thai interests. Before we dive into how this ancient dispute turned into modern warfare, I want to hear your perspective. Do you think colonial-era maps should determine modern borders, or should countries renegotiate boundaries based on current realities? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more analysis of forgotten conflicts. In 2008, UNESCO's recognition of Preah Vihear reignited tensions. Thai nationalists accused their government of betrayal, sparking mass protests, while Cambodia's Hun Sen used the designation to boost nationalism and attract tourism. Both sides militarized the border, leading to clashes from 2008 to 2011. Fighting escalated into heavy artillery battles that killed hundreds, displaced thousands, and expanded the dispute beyond the temple itself. International media coverage of the clashes often focused on the seemingly absurd nature of fighting over ancient ruins, but the underlying issues were serious. Both countries deployed thousands of troops to the border region, turning Preah Vihear into one of the most militarized heritage sites in the world. The human cost was significant but often overlooked in international coverage, which focused on the temple itself. Thousands of civilians living near the border were forced to evacuate repeatedly as fighting erupted. Schools, hospitals, and homes were damaged or destroyed by artillery fire intended for military targets. Economic impacts extended beyond the immediate border region. Tourism to both countries suffered as international travelers avoided areas perceived as conflict zones. Agricultural production in border provinces declined as farmers abandoned fields or couldn't access markets due to military restrictions. The intensifying conflict created serious problems for ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, which prides itself on peaceful conflict resolution and non-interference in members' internal affairs. However, military clashes between 2 member states threatened ASEAN's credibility and regional stability. ASEAN struggled to intervene due to its non-interference policy, but Indonesia brokered talks that led to military observers along the border, easing tensions. In 2011, the ICJ also ordered both sides to withdraw troops, stabilizing the situation though the dispute remained unresolved. Today, Preah Vihear is a symbol of frozen conflict, a UNESCO site under heavy military presence, with tourism hampered by checkpoints and poor infrastructure. Climate change, regional development, and shifting politics continue to complicate the dispute, raising the stakes beyond heritage and symbolism. The Cambodia-Thailand temple conflict offers several important lessons about modern international relations. First, colonial legacies continue shaping contemporary politics in ways that former colonial powers never anticipated. French mapmakers in 1907 couldn't have imagined that cartographic decisions would influence 21st-century military deployments. Second, nationalism remains a powerful force in international relations, capable of transforming minor territorial disputes into major political crises. Both Thai and Cambodian politicians have discovered that patriotic posturing over Preah Vihear can generate domestic support, creating incentives for escalation rather than compromise. Third, International law provides frameworks for dispute resolution but cannot guarantee compliance or satisfaction. The ICJ's 1962 ruling legally resolved the temple's sovereignty but failed to address underlying nationalist grievances that continue driving the conflict. Finally, economic development and tourism can complicate rather than resolve territorial disputes by raising the financial stakes of control over disputed areas. The Cambodia-Thailand temple wars represent one of the world's most unusual ongoing conflicts, modern nations fighting over ancient history with contemporary weapons. While active military confrontation has largely ceased, the underlying dispute remains unresolved and could reignite under different political circumstances. This forgotten war demonstrates how colonial legacies, nationalist politics, and economic interests can transform historical artifacts into contemporary flashpoints. The 900-year-old stones of Preah Vihear Temple continue casting shadows over regional security and international law. The ultimate irony may be that the Khmer builders of Preah Vihear created their temple as a symbol of imperial power and religious devotion, never imagining it would become a monument to the limitations of both nationalism and international law in resolving human conflicts over sacred and symbolic spaces. What's your perspective on this conflict? Should UNESCO World Heritage sites in disputed territories require agreement from all claimant nations? How do you think colonial-era borders should be handled in the modern world? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this exploration of a forgotten war fascinating, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the conflicts that shape our world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.